All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Warui Deshou's Stream of Thought, Season 3, Episode 6, A Banana Fish. And I have two things to say off at the front. First off, happy Friday.
Hey, thank God.
Continuing my tradition of on-screen alcoholism, I'm just getting it all out there. And I have an opening question for everyone here. Maybe we'll turn this into a twist poll, but something that just came to mind literally earlier today. So, an open question to those of you in the audience. Would you consider banana fish to technically be surf and turf? No, I'm serious. There's the surf bit, the fish, and there's the turf, the bananas. Is it technically surf and turf? Answers on a postcard.
It can't be turf. It can't be turf, can it? Because bananas aren't walking around on the turf, right?
Well,
I mean, in that case, isn't every seafood meal surf and turf? Because rice is technically turf if a banana's turf.
Oh, well. I was going to try and use this as a marketing gimmick, for future restaurants, banana fish. You can get your seafood entree while also watching horribly depressing, terrible shit during downtime episodes.
Whew.
Like, holy fuck.
Boy.
Kind of caught me off guard, I must say.
Indeed. There's some stuff that I definitely... I mean, we should know, right? I mean, we should know at this point, but...
Yeah, it's half the course for banana fish, really.
And yet, it still is a little oof.
I know. I mean, like I said before on Twitter, my reaction to this episode was, okay, this is fairly, all right, this is banana fish, but it's, downtime, there's no gags, there's no ongoing gun battles, there's no, horrible shit happening to people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that didn't last forever, did it?
It did not.
Oh, well.
It did not.
Oh, well.
It lasted, 15 minutes.
That's more than I expected. Maybe that's an improvement or a bit of downthink for banana fish. Also, my monitor's gone really weird. Okay, whatever. But anyway, yes, we're now going to talk about episode 6, the My Lost City, which unfortunately
Scott Fitzgerald title.
So we get more lost. I mean, I know these are all literary references at this point, but I just keep thinking to myself they're different things. In this case, I thought to myself, is Ash going to reveal, he's, got an Inca temple of gold somewhere buried?
Yes, the right mysterious cities of gold. I always think of that too. Yes. Or I think of... what is that film? It's not Hotel Rwanda. City of God? That's about a similar... Anyway. That's apropos of nothing.
I mean, we'll talk about movie references in a second, because of course we do have the Twitter polls to talk about in a minute.
That's right. I'm going to be pulling those up now while you I almost typed titter.com. Not a website you want to type.
Are you sure that's not on your favorite stock?
On a work machine. I am sure.
Was that not incognito mode?
Not on this PC. We'll just say that. All right.
Ho. Fair enough then, my friend. So yeah, this episode, even now that they're outside New York, I'm just still it's great. It's a good show. It's still great and all that, but good grief. I think I'm going to be able to now start, I've established a trend, at this point, of marking, what's going to happen to particular characters. Who are the nicest, most clean-cut people that we meet in Banana Fish? As that goes up, where they get nicer and more, clean-cut, easy living, apart from AG, who's got, the exception, their life expectancy declines quite dramatically. Pretty bad.
Spurky's life expectancy has gone up because they're in chat. Hello, Spurky. Are
you saying we're good for people's health? I thought that we were not. We're a bad podcast.
Yeah, but
actively harming people's health, like smoking.
well, okay. So
shouldn't there be a Surgeon General's warning on this podcast? That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you put me in a corner, so I think I have to agree with you. The line of thought I was taking was that people will laugh at us at how shit this is, and laughter being the best medicine, they will, lead happier lives, de-stress, that kind of thing. Whatever way we can lessen the stress in your lives, whether it's being, engaging, not likely, probably the least likely outcome, or drunk, dumb, incoherent.
Today's product placement, by the way, is Staro Pramen. Nice Prague beer from Prague that probably was brewed elsewhere. Where was this brewed, actually? Let's see if I can find it. Doesn't immediately say. Because I get the feeling it's one of those things like, whenever you buy beer, it's usually like, oh, here you go, brewed in the UK. Yeah, definitely not from Prague.
No! That's not in Czechoslovakia.
No, probably in some bumfuck brewery in the middle of fucking Norwich or something. Who knows? It's a mass-produced beer, but it works. So yeah, expect me to cycle through a lot of alcohol through the coming weeks as we watch more of these, especially on Fridays, because that's how I roll.
Not to anger people from Norwich, but like, I have to say, the last time I saw the Norwich City football kits, I was very down on them. Not a fan. Not a fan of, like, just very, very bright yellow as the background, and then a green on top that is not unlike the Subway logo and colors. And it's what always makes me think of that. Subway was not a sponsor at the time. I'm sure it was like Buen or UAE.
Either that, I don't know, Hershey's, Taco Bell,
No, none of those big companies. It's all never do our lower rung football teams sponsored by anything other than gambling websites. It's either like BWin or Bet365 or some shit like that.
Well, at least honest with yourselves, because whenever you're watching football, it's a gamble if you actually watch something entertaining as opposed to 90 minutes of bum diddly fuck all. So, I don't know.
How dare you? We'll move away.
I do that. I think football's a bag of wank, to be honest. But anyway, let's move on.
What?
Yeah, you heard me. You know my opinion.
It's people like you that
know exactly what they're talking about.
Karmically prevented it from coming home. It's because of your bad vibes that the World Cup went elsewhere.
It's okay. Problem X won, Evo Street Fighter 5, so it did come home later.
Street Fighter did not go home. Street Fighter went away.
Smallest violin here for you.
Street Fighter went away from home. It's visiting the UK.
Well, it's where it's in a good place right now.
It is. I'm very happy for Problem X.
Indeed, so am I. All right, so let's move away from football and fighting games, and let's go to the Twitter polls, if you may, Doc.
Twitter poll.
Because we did ask a couple of questions last week that were also quasi-relevant to banana fish in general.
All right. But because we shot the last episode, streamed
point blank range,
the last episode
street style
on a Monday, Ashlink style from a distance. From a distance. No. The
was that
polls...
you trying to do Let It Go and beats like some sort of like gangland song?
Maybe. Isn't there like a golden oldie that's like from a distance? I don't remember. For some reason that tune pops in my head. But these polls are still open from episode 5. So if you would like to, weigh in, so to speak, you may. At Warui Deshou on Twitter. Twitter.com/Warui Deshou.
Quite right.
So, did the animation in Banana Fish, episode 5, impress you relative to other episodes? Shadon, I believe it was you that made reference to this. This is our most lopsided poll to date. 96% said yes.
Good. I'm glad that they agree.
And what should have been the most lopsided poll: do you like the movie Mystery Men? 89% said yes. Still a very healthy margin of victory.
The real mystery here is what is with the 11% who said no.
I know. Come on.
Guys.
Come on.
Guys, girls, and MBs, please explain. Explain to me why you don't like Mystery Men.
There's stuff in it that I don't like, but it doesn't affect the fact that the whole package is unambiguously great. That's right.
Thank
great.
You. Unambiguous.
Mm-hmm. No bones about it. No caveats, no hair splitting. It's great. It's great.
Damn right. All right. So
I guess we can give them and agree to forget They're bad poll voting.
I wouldn't be. Ooh, man, that's How much alcohol is in this again?
Not enough.
No, 5% exactly. That'll have to do. This is a big ball.
Those are the polls from last week. We'll make new ones during the episode and try to link them in the chat. But if we don't, you can always go to our Twitter.
Surf and turf? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Surf and turf. Is banana turf? That's gonna be a poll. I'm making it now. While you talk.
To be fair, Banana Fish is about turf wars as well.
Yep.
That's terrible. I'm so sorry about that.
Yep.
That is pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Doc's ready to revoke my podcasting license anytime soon. It's going to happen. It's going to take it away from me and tear it in two, because I'm going to get laminated it. So, oh well. It was a good run while it lasted.
It's almost 3 years.
Jesus Christ.
Longer than anyone thought we'd be around. Okay, alright. Banana Fish, episode 6. Shadon?
Oh, sorry.
Did I cut out?
I was waiting for you to start talking about it.
Oh, okay, sorry. No,
we're summarizing this week.
That's right. I'm going to do the summary, but do you mind? So I'm going to make a poll really quick before we start.
Go on.
Is Banana Fish surf and turf? Yes or no?
No, the answer is yes or yes. Clearly. Like, there's debate about this?
There's debate. There's absolutely debate. We cannot lose all meaning of surf and turf. It's too great of a catchy sort of phrase to lose in the mire of ambiguity that you have plunged it into.
Well, I don't have that fond of appreciation for surf and turf, because the last time I had it when I was in America, when I was in New York in 2010, funnily enough, same location as Banana Fish, I went to Red Lobster in Times Square and I had food poisoning the following day. Fantastic. And that's because I did have surf and turf.
That's because you were eating Red Lobster, man. That's bad.
It's Red Lobster in Times Square. I didn't expect to be eating toxic fucking waste. Jesus Christ.
Most chain places in America are... Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's some that I like, but I like them with the sort of... I go in with the knowledge that, like, what I'm going to get is not, like, top of the line or perhaps even unhealthy.
It's not even about top of the line. I just expect, not to have fever
not
dreams
to die.
The following day because I've got food poisoning. Like, I was laid up in bed in, like, this hotel in New York, hearing all the noises from outside, all the sirens are. I'm just here tripping balls because the fucking prawns I had the previous night, I don't know, they must have come out from the fucking nuclear centrifuge nearby. I don't know.
Sewer prawns.
Jesus Christ. Fucking foul. So I don't expect it to be hot cuisine, but I expect it to, not be also stomach pumpingly awful. So surf and turf, not so much.
When you come to the Gulf Coast, I'm gonna get you some real surf and turf.
Great.
All right.
No fever dreams.
The Notebook. It's out.
Oh, I thought you were prepping for the news then.
Now the news. Banana Fish, episode 6, My Lost City. On F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Good.
Title?
It's pretty good.
It's a good episode. Now, the weather. Shadon?
Well, over here, the weather, there's a high-pressure region forming around Ash Links as he has to deal with more bullshit put on him from this, the east and the west coast, as it turns out. And now back to you, Doc, in the studio.
Thank you, Shadon. And now...
Why is your newscaster sounding more and more like Sean Connery as time goes on?
Oh, it's just me in disguise doing the news. Let's talk about Banana Fish. Are you ready?
Jesus Christ. Go on, then.
This episode begins with a road trip down the coast from New York to Cape Cod. Sure. All right, I have to stop doing the accent because I have to avoid certain words because they don't sound as good. All right, so yes, road trip. Max and Ash driving down the road in what can only be described as an immigrant smuggling vehicle. Rambling along. Max singing one lyric to the song "Oh My Darling Clementine" over and over, and
just one step above, the wheels on the bus go round and round in terms of annoyance. Because like Ash's face in this is like, I would have been exactly the same. Honestly, I'm literally surprised that the guys in the back, Shaw, AG, and eBay, weren't literally yelling, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?"
They're sleeping.
I was
surprised that they were. Well, I mean, I wasn't surprised they were there. I guess like I had forgotten, at least initially, like that they were going, because I was like, oh, it's just those two. This is going to be kind of an intimate episode. And then, nope. eBay and Shorter and Eiji are asleep in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So they arrive in Ash's hometown, the place where he and his brother were raised. And boy, when we get there, I did not imagine what was in store for these guys. So we meet Jennifer and Jim at like a local like tavern, restaurant, bar type thing.
It's called Green Hill Diner, and I'm like,
a diner.
This, like, this, but Green Hill, is this the Sonic starting zone? Are we gonna have like Sonic going past?
Yes.
Does that mean like when we have the later fight scene, I can put in like Sonic's like sounds where he like hits someone, and then like
boop,
when someone gets shot, you like hear the noise of the rings coming out, like
yeah, the spilling rings.
That would be awful because I'm an awful person. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Green Hill. I didn't even think of that. They're just that's incredible. So that's the first place that the group goes once they arrive, and Jim, who's Ash's father, it turns out, is basically like, Wilf isn't the little man whore and his other whores. You paying my son for fucking him? And just like, damn, man. Just like brutal. So cold. Jenny,
I thought it was supposed to be warm in Boston that time of year, but clearly not.
Jenny is very glad to see him. She's a very kind lady, it turns out, but wow, I didn't think it was his dad at first. I was like,
I'm literally
who
surprised
is this
that
jerk?
I know. I mean, I'm literally surprised that Jim wasn't like armed with a double-barreled shotgun and like making racial slurs or something, because he was literally one step above that.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
I know.
Good old, county, country area America. Classic.
And I mean, and it turns out like this is probably some self-loathing on his part because of the things he pushed him to and the ways he reacted to very traumatic events in the life of his child.
Yep. Great.
So they go home to the home they grew up in. There's a cute moment when Eiji gets scared by a big giant rat in a drawer. Very cute. They go to Griff's room. They thumb through a photo album and see the doctor, like the gangster in a lab coat from Dino's group.
That carrot top looking motherfucker.
Yes. Who knows about Banana Fish. And it turns out that like he was in the unit that Griff was in before Griff was transferred to the unit Max was in. So Max doesn't know the guy from the army. His name is Abraham Dawson. They somehow get his address off of a list of names that Griff was keeping. I guess government issued. A lot of information on this list because there was nothing about him on the internet. Ash checks his phone that has miraculously has service.
Are you telling me that Abraham Dawson is not on LinkedIn? What about Facebook, Tinder? I mean,
Mafia biochemist.
Come on.
Mixed miracle poisons, illegal drugs, hot strains of heroin. So the address that they find for Abraham, for old honest Abe, is the same address that guy Stephen in the first episode gave to Ash before he died. I don't remember what it was, but I won't have to. The show will let us know. So, what happens next? My notes are hard to read, even though I just wrote them like earlier this morning. So Eiji and Ash have a moment together, staring across kind of the grassy plains. There's a lake, the sun is setting, and Eiji sees beauty, but Ash sees a former kind of painful thing that he's totally emotionally cut off from now. Like, has no feeling toward it. He's amputated that part of his heart and his memories. And honestly, I mean, yes, like, as a survival mechanism, I absolutely understand why. And can't really fault the guy for this.
Yeah. As an aside, like, to me, it's very telling that, you know, you can have a couple of reactions to the way that Ash is treated. You can be very angry, very shameful, you know, very embarrassed, very, you know, reticent to talk about it. Or, in its own kind of profound way, you can be like he is now, where he's just like, I got nothing. I don't give a fuck. Which, you know, like, it's like when you ask someone a probing question, they don't answer, like, they just simply don't speak.
Yeah. Like,
that's not replying, but it is an answer all of itself. So it certainly speaks volumes, despite the fact that he just says, "No, I got nothing," about how he feels about what we find out later on. And, well, great.
Yeah. Okay. So before that business, we have eBay. Well, no, actually, we have this is sunset, so we have the scene in the morning in which Eiji wakes up to gunfire, comes out and sees Ash shooting what appear to be perfectly good bottles of wild turkey, and I'm just like, don't waste the whiskey.
6 bottles of liquor on the wall, 6 bottles of liquor. If I shoot a bottle, it's on the bottle, etc., etc., etc.
Snipe one down.
Nice.
Fucking dude's just, I mean, apparently he misses one and says, well, I'm rusty. But shooting things at a distance with a sawed-off, you know, Cougar Magnum or whatever the hell that is quite a feat. But he's doing this, and Eiji's like, oh, I want to... Well, I don't think he even asks. I think Ash just is like, well, do you want to try it?
Give it a try.
Eiji's eyes light up like a kid on Christmas. Yes! And, of course, he looks like a dork holding a gun. It's very cute.
I love the transition here where he grabs him and immediately cuts him in almost the same posture, but it's him just like...
He's like hunched over, kind of, and like he has a really bad grip on the gun. And of course, you know, Eiji gets to kind of steady him and show him how to shoot the gun. He doesn't miraculously hit the bottle on his first try, but he gets a little bit of experience. eBay, you know, comes into cock block Ash, and he's like, hey, why don't you go wake Shorter up, Eiji? Hey, motherfucker. Let's talk. Ash, you and Eiji are too different. Think about what's best for him, okay? I need to...
Speak for yourself, eBay. You've not physically stopped him from coming on this ludicrous fucking road trip.
Yeah.
What do you think this is? The Cannonball Run? Jesus Christ.
Yes.
You're unraveling a conspiracy involving drugs, Afghanistan, the murder of several people, mob bosses, and you think that you're the one to tell Ash, like, you know, think what's best for him?
But like one more, well, after one more stop, we're getting off this train. So I'm different from you.
On the other side of the fucking country?
Yes. Yep.
Jesus Christ, eBay. I mean...
eBay just doesn't want as long of a flight back to Japan. He's like, if we leave from LAX instead of LaGuardia, the flight will only be 12 hours. instead of like 18 hours.
Look, right, I've only got vouchers for Delta Airlines going out of LAX, and I cannot spend them anywhere else. So you'll excuse me if I put them in now.
We're boxed in, AG. We have to find a way to get to LAX. What? You're going to Los Angeles? Of course we'll go. But boy, yeah. Ash is very much like, hey, the kid's 19 and he doesn't know how to take care of himself, and especially in this country. So you're babying him. And eBay kind of pouts off to Max. And Max is very much like, hey, like, maybe he has a point. Why do you
know?
Oh, go ahead.
You know, there's a line here that I really loved. In that eBay says, maybe I am, babying A-chan too much. Now, there's the honorific right there. Like, without even realizing it, he's admitted. Like, he says, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But what he actually says confirms it to be true, because he's referring to with that particular honorific.
Totally.
So, sorry, AB, but you absolutely are. Your nanny's stating the poor kid. And to be fair to him, he does require a certain amount of protection because, like, he's a deer in headlights. The biggest fucking headlights in the world in this particular scenario. But at the same time, like, sheltering him too much, like, he won't grow into any kind of person. Never mind, a monster. Like, he won't be anyone. So
it's the eternal struggle of mentors, older siblings, parents. How much do you let your mentee, your younger sibling, your son or daughter, like how far is too far to let them stray? Like, where's the line between letting them make their own mistakes and like saving them from some kind of lasting harm? It's a very difficult question. Yeah, because I mean, there's like being involved in a mob war. But even in less extreme circumstances, like, I mean, this is something I struggle with, and I'm working through my own life because, of course, you want your kids to grow up to be like functioning adults, good citizens, like people that can take care of themselves and be independent. But man, you also don't want them to go through any pain. And boy, it's a hard balance to strike, I have to say. And I don't have any like fantastic wisdom in this area because my kids are all still pretty little, and the mistakes they want to make are pretty low stakes, low risk kind of things.
Yeah, nothing too permanent or harmful. Well, for me, like, I don't have kids, but I've already decided, when I have them, I'm just going to drop off in the woods and let nature take care of itself.
Thank you, Papa Hobbs. God. Welcome to your new home, lads. The state of nature.
Look, natural selection will prove their worth.
Here's what your new life is going to be like. Solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short.
Can I eat the mushrooms, Dad? No, those are poisonous. What about those mushrooms? Poisonous.
You decide for yourself.
Poisonous. And what about those? Severe digestive discomfort.
I don't know. Why don't you bribe a friend to eat it and see what happens? And then you act accordingly.
Give it to your little sister. She's only 2. Well, that's why.
Survival of the fittest, lad. Yes. Oh my God.
This is why I probably will never have children.
I feel for eBay in some senses here. Although, I mean, perhaps not unlike me, he has some selfish motives for doing this that are not necessarily like rooted in the good of Asia. Max asks him outright, like, why do you care so much about him? You're not really, you're not related. Like, what's the story? And, eBay tells him the pole vaulting stuff that we already know, but he adds his own details to it when he says, like, that the photos that I took of him were what saved me in my career when I was in a downturn, and so I want to repay him for that. And I want to take care of him because he's still an amazing pole vaulter. He just can't get over this psychological hump right now, and Max is basically like, yeah, I call bullshit, Holmes. You are just like, you just have this jealousy of him, and you want to be him or like live your life cathartically through him, and so you want to keep him close to you and safe so that you can experience that. Hello, Blue Sea. Welcome back. And yeah, that's interesting. I mean, do you think that that's a fair assessment of eBay?
Well, for me, I don't think we really know that much about him just yet to make a conclusive judgment. Maybe there'll be more of this later on. I think that for the moment, though, it has to be said, like, on paper, his actions make no fucking sense. Like, the first sign of trouble, he should have been back on that plane with AG with him, rather than coming along for the ride.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, maybe that might explain it, because one of the things you'll notice is that when he first gets to Cape Cod and they remark how beautiful the place looks, he starts taking photographs. So the question therefore is, and I don't know if whether or not this will be a relevant theme or character trait, is he coming along because he wants to help AG, or because he reckons there's a really, really amazing scoop at the end of this?
That's a very interesting possibility. For whatever reason, I didn't process that. The photo taking. So, yeah. Yeah.
He's documenting the journey. So who knows, like, for what reason? I mean, he already said, like, that he, took the photographs he took of AG, saved his career. Mm-hmm. And, like, well, why not enhance it while I'm here? Mm-hmm. We'll find out, because certainly he doesn't really care that much about Ash.
No. That's right. He'll eBay will tell Max, like, you write the words, I'll do the pictures. We'll both make a killing. It'll be a spread in Vanity Fair, Time Magazine, something. No, that's an interesting possibility I hadn't considered. I tend to think like I mean, Max seems like a pretty sharp character, so even though we don't really know too much about eBay, it sounds like it's not too far off the mark. I think the way eBay reacted is pretty telling. And he's like, just wait till my friend PayPal comes. Together, we're the strongest duo in online auctioning. So
I'll have you know my Patreon has 500 subscribers.
If eBay has to get a Patreon, that would be bad times.
What is that one of the tier awards? $2,000 pledge per month, and I will follow a gang war through to its bitter end.
See, that we're sort of going down two comedic lines. I'm talking about EBAY and PayPal. You're talking about.
Does that make me like a bad person for mistaking that? Not.
No. Okay, you're right. eBay is a good egg. I mean, he seems like a good dude. Despite, I mean, and good people can have like mixed motives or even selfish motives, and I don't think that invalidates their goodness.
Just to borrow the metaphor, though, eggs can go rotten.
No, he's not doing that. I feel like he's gonna. I don't know. Do you think he's gonna make it out of this alive? If you had to bet.
All bets are off at this point. I don't know. Like, I mean. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. No one is safe in this show.
No one is safe.
No one. I mean, to be fair, like the person who does die in this episode, I should have marked immediately. I should have thought, wait a minute. They're too wholesome. Something's not right here. Mm-hmm. But I don't fucking know. Like, if you told me that in episode 14, Shorter just gets his head fucking blown off, I wouldn't be able to immediately just... Oh, I'm putting that on the record, aren't I?
Don't tell me that.
I don't know that.
We'll be saying, oh, that's Shorter, and weeping. Oh, that's Shorter. Well, so let's move on to the yelling. Because AG basically marches into the diner, the Green Hill Diner, and starts yelling at Jim. and Jim's just like, who is this fucker? Like, and, Max is like, well, I knew Griff. We were in NAM together, etc., etc. And so Jim, hearing that, says, well, I guess you're not a man horse, so I'll tell you a story. He's like, offers them a drink. Kay asks, what do you guys think of Max's "you know what I mean" when he asks if making AG leave is best for him? Okay. I think, so the way that I read it was this, Kay. So eBay is saying leaving, going back to Japan is best for AG. And what he means by that is it is the least risky proposition for AG to get hurt or killed. And Max is, I think, saying what's good for AG in a different sense of like what's good for him as a whole person. Because that might involve more risk. That might involve risking his life. But in the long run, or even in the short run, if he dies, like having those experiences and kind of self-actualizing and learning and thinking for himself will be better for AG as a human being than simply being safe, simply going back to the cocoon, simply allowing eBay to wrap him in cotton wool. This is the way I took it.
Yeah. Well, for me, one of the things I think that's noteworthy about the way that eBay like, frames his discussions with Ash and the way he talks about AG is that he never says to Ash in particular, for example, like, this could get him killed. He says, you two are very different. But that doesn't necessarily, that isn't necessarily unique to this particular context. Like, you could say to many different couples or pairs of people out there, you're very different. So I don't think that that eBay is actually framing this in something that's immediately about, AG's well-being and immediate safety. Like, we commented before, like, about the, the fact that they're involved in the mafia war when they really shouldn't be. I mean, as Blue Sea has said, mafia is no joke.
Yeah. Maybe eBay was just trying to be tactful. You know what I mean?
I'm not so sure.
You're very different. You kill people.
Now, roll with me on this idea for a second here, but here's the thing that Banana Fish has done thus far. It has consistently portrayed homosexual relationships in a very negative light, deliberately. And I have to say, like, actually something I should point out right now is that if I didn't have prior knowledge about the fact that this was, like, a boy-on-boy romance kind of thing going on here, I would actually kind of probably be quite angry with Banana Fish right now. Because all of the homosexual content in it, like all of the characters, like, the power plays and using it to force yourself on someone else, to dominate them, to control them, and then also the way that Ash's father reacts in this, and then also with eBay, which I'll get to know, but like all of it seems very, very negative.
Yeah, well, and I think it's good to draw a distinction between like the sexual gay relationships and gay love, because I don't think the show has had anything bad to say about love between boys, like that kind of platonic love and connection. It's just been like the sex stuff, like the people that engage in that are like all out to get you, all out to hurt you and abuse you and use you up. Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not taking the show to task for this because I'm aware of it.
No, yeah, like, for sure.
About. But to me, like, let me pose a theory to you. Maybe eBay is not so more worried about, AG's like personal safety, but the fact that Ash will take him away. Take him away from him.
Maybe.
This kid saved his career, and now he's sticking around with him. So maybe, he's thinking to himself, like, I'm attached to him now. I can't, lay him out of my sight. But here's this kid who has come in, and, like, I think that they're aware without being honest about it, like, that there is something forming between those two. I think that although, bear in mind this was, an 80s product and is very reflective of its times, particularly in the way that Jim reacts as well, and also with the events that will follow and what we learn with Ash and his childhood. I think that it's not unreasonable to say that I think that AB is either, at best, possibly, very, very, unconsciously homophobic. Sorry, worse I meant to say with that. Or at best, he's just concerned with he's just concerned that age is going to be taken away from him. Because again, the way he frames it, it's not about personal safety. It's not about he could immediately be killed. It's more like oh, you're just very different people. He could have been having that conversation with any other couple that he might have met. He might be forming a relationship who he didn't feel was right. It's not about the more immediate and more pressing context of, holy shit, the fucking mafia are going to come and put a fucking cap in us. So there's that.
I know.
So,
yeah.
I think the way this is coached is not about, anything other than a very personal and possibly even selfish desire to keep AG around for his own benefit, even if it's unconscious, even without realizing.
Yeah, but I do think it's probably mixed with not wanting him to die, but unselfishly so, thinking that will be bad. I don't want to make him out as a totally I don't think he's a bad actor or entirely selfish actor.
Yeah, I think that for eBay, he's probably acting on unconscious biases without even realizing it, or realizations that he can't even win. I mean, after all, at the end, Max says, "You know what I mean." If eBay actually understood, the entirety of his own inner thought processes, then he wouldn't need to be having this conversation. It's what are you talking about? What do you mean by that? And so I think that Max's realization and him saying, "You know what I mean," is him pointing out, "Oh, you'll come to learn in time that maybe you don't have the best of intentions here."
Right.
Possibly. We'll see. We'll see. But I think there's probably a lot more to this than just simply, him being. I mean, one of the things about plot holes is that like I've said before, these characters should have bailed out long ago. It really should just be shorter and Ash and possibly Max a push, maybe. But why are they still here then? People make stupid decisions, but they probably make them for very, to them at least, logical reasons. And I at least trust this show and this material enough to believe that that's the case, as opposed to the other fact that they're fucking imbeciles and they don't know what they're getting into. So, hey, but that's my feeling on it anyway.
It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds.
For sure.
So, before Kay asked his insightful question.
Cheers, Kay.
So we were talking about, Jim reveals some more of young AG's history, his backstory, and tells about the time that a very...
Do you mean Ash?
Did I not say that? Did I say AG?
You said
sorry.
AG's backstory.
Whoops. Reveals Ash's backstory. Seeing as how he didn't know AG, but was the father of Ash. And so here's what happened. A charismatic man who everyone in that small town loved moved to the town and became the baseball coach for youth baseball. And
why do we get the feeling the term baseball coach could be replaced with practically anything?
Yeah.
I mean, this whole story is such broad strokes. There are probably so many real life events that you know of with people who've been named in the news that overlap with this perfectly. It still happens even now, despite the fact this was written in the fucking 80s. Although what's interesting is, of course, that this was a very 80s reaction to it.
Yeah. Oh, sweet God. I know.
Yeah.
So this guy who garnered the favor of the entire town turns out sexually assaulted, abused, most likely raped. It's not stated outright, but it's pretty daggum heavily implied. Ash one day after practice. And the father, Jim, could tell as soon as Ash got home, this is what happened. They went to the police. Police didn't believe him. The police liked the guy. So how could it be him? Do you have any proof?
Yeah.
No? Well, all we have is a he said, so fucking kick rocks, I guess. And after that, what can only be described as one of the worst parenting moves in anime history, Jim Lynx, that's probably not his real last name, Jim Lynx is the name. Own the Green Hills Tavern. Jim, sorry, I'm just avoiding talking about this horrible decision.
Yeah.
Says, look, son, you know, this is going to happen again. These people are going to do this to you. And the cops are going to react this way. There's nothing we can do about it. So you might as well get paid for it. And let them have their way with you. And boy, that. Whew. And now his mother's not around at this point because Griff and he, it turns out, have different moms, same dad. Griff's mom got kicked out of the house by Ash's mom, and after Ash was born, his mother ran off with another guy, so she was not around for this. So at this point, I don't know if he's moved in with Jim, or not, but clearly he's got the bulk of responsibility in raising his son, both sons, and I mean, I like, there's whatever the circumstances, I feel like that's just an inexcusable way to act.
I'll say it up front. If I were Jim, rather than saying that, you know what I'd have done, because it's America? I got my fucking gun, I'd gone round there, shot the guy. Simple as that.
Well,
I'd have done it, and I'd have fucking smiled about it.
And, you know, that is exactly what Ash did at a later time. Who knows how long it went on for.
At least a year, because I think they mentioned
that's right.
Ash was 8.
Yes.
Yes, because they mentioned Ash was 7 when it started, and then 8 when it concluded. However many months that is, it's at most 12. You know, you can.
It went on long,
like,
yeah,
back and forth, but long enough to cause that.
Long enough for him to let his guard down, because it does mention that the guy had let his guard down around Ash, and of course, you know, Ash, like, understandably, is incredibly traumatized, doesn't understand anything, like his own feelings probably, or what's right or wrong, and just has this burning hatred for this guy, I'm sure, and kills him, shoots him. And turns out that this guy was they called it the Bluebeard of Cape Cod case, because in this house he had all like, even though he just moved there, did he carry the shit with him? I don't know, but like, he had like kids' bones in his basement and shit. But not this guy. He's a nice guy. We won't even do an investigation because we fucking suck at our jobs.
Can I just intervene and say, like, in the past week, I don't unfortunately know the name of the school off to hand, but in the United Kingdom, there was a recent conclusion of an inquiry into child abuse happening at this very prestigious private school that was also co-run by a monastery of monks. So, okay, again, like, Banana Fish originated as material, as manga from the 80s. Like, that abuse, like, you know, it's not a work of fiction. Like, in, you know, there are plenty of examples of it that people have done, like, both individuals and institutions. And there are examples of where, you know, people have not been believed, where they've spoken to the police and like, oh, well, fuck you. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Where's the DNA sample? Well, do you want to check in his house? I don't know. Nope. Yeah.
Nah, he's a little league runner, and he's making our town look good, son.
That's right.
Like, don't you know how our little league team's doing?
He waves at me across the street, so he's innocent.
I'm willing to bet you if we ever saw an actual picture of that guy, he'd probably look like Kamishita from Persona 5.
Don't we see, like, a profile shot of him, and he looks like a founding father?
Oh, God, either that or he looks like one of the fucking guys from King of the Hill. What was the name of that guy with the white shirt who had no hair?
Right.
He looks a lot like him.
Yes. Oh boy, but
let me show you some propane products, because fuck you, I'm gonna say. Just want to. Oh, fuck that guy.
Like, so at a time after that, I don't remember how long after that happens, but Ash runs away from home and goes to New York, and within a couple of years, he's snatched away by Dino, and then we know the rest, largely. Although who knows, we may find out much more.
I'm going to save that for my talking
and I laugh
point,
because I was laid to laugh or cry.
I'm going to save because there's something I do want to discuss about this whole backstory here. And I'm very sorry to say, folks, but there are actually two things that I want to take this episode to task for. Like, I've been very, happy with Banana Fish thus far, and I still think this episode is really good.
Mm-hmm.
There are two things in this particular episode that I think it needs taking to task for, which I'll get to later, because, I didn't like these things, but I'm also interested in hearing your opinions, both Doc and people in the audience on this, because it's not something that's immediately, I say objectively, quote unquote, like, it's not mechanically wrong. It's not fault necessarily, of writing or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just, I'll say it
just didn't sit well with you. It just didn't sit well with you.
Well, I'll save it when it gets to talking points. Okay. I'll leave it at that.
So,
and there goes the audience anyway.
Oh, really?
He said something about. No, I'm not watching the numbers. But I'm just thinking he said something bad about Banana Fish.
I'm out.
Fuck this, I'm out of here.
Saw to you.
No, don't. No.
No, look. Even so, Eiji says he's kind of sort of admires Ash's kind of wild, rebellious spirit, his strength, really, and his fortitude, that even after all this, I think the direct quote is, he still isn't broken. Mm-hmm. And that's a good point.
I'm not so sure about that.
I mean, I know, okay, so I know that, he, unquestionably, there's inner demons in Ash, and there's a lot of unresolved bullshit.
Yeah.
And stuff that he's got to work through, complexes he's developed. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's when compared to normal people, well adjusted and such. But boy, I mean, he's alive. He hasn't taken his own life. He hasn't descended into a drug addicted puddle of goo. He appears to want to still grab a hold of life and wring it out for something. And I think that is I guess you can debate whether or not he's broken, and there are times certainly he shows a lot of sadness and deep sadness. But God, he's very strong. Has a lot of inner strength that he's able to forge ahead, really.
I suppose the thing that I'll say is that you could technically call a clock broken if you smash the face in, but it will still tell the time. So, for me, you can be broken, but you can still function. But functioning is insufficient to living a healthy life. Anyone can function, anyone can survive, anyone can exist.
But
it's
not
the same thing as living.
But not any one person maybe, but not everyone can. Especially, I mean, I think we're sort of underselling the amount of stuff from the age of 7 to 17. That's probably
bordering on my talking point here.
Piled on top of each other, and that I mean, it's fucked him up. But again, the fact that he's not in the basement shoving needles into his arm, and that's his life. I mean, that's huge for me. That he's not that. I don't want to make it seem like he's overcome all of this stuff, because clearly he has a lot to deal with, but like he's at least leading a life that is like approximate to, I don't know, I don't want to use the word admirable, but like, how do I put this? I don't know. It just, I can't, I guess right now, I don't have the words to say anything other than
A life of resilience, perhaps?
yeah, I mean, the fact that he's not given up, the fact that he's not entirely defeated, the fact that he's not said, well, life's credits and debits don't add up for me. Too much suffering. See ya. I'm out. He's got the strength to keep on living and keep working towards something. I mean, I think that is like worthy of praise. Now, this is not saying like that he's necessarily a quote unquote good person, or that he is perfect or even virtuous a lot of the time, but man, he's so strong, you know.
Chaotic good. Let's get into D&D. He's chaotic good. That's the way I
Yes.
see it.
Yes.
Or maybe chaotic neutral, if you want to call it that. Ah, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But even so, Blue Sea says that he uses hatred to keep living, and I think that that's probably pretty accurate. But sometimes a lot of people aren't even strong enough to grab hold of that hatred and use it to pull them out of the abyss. Sometimes they just let go and sink in, and it does take a certain amount of something to even live for that. And for that kind of person who's been through everything he's been through, I think it speaks to that part of his character. So after that, the gang returns. We haven't seen these guys before, but clearly from the moment they step into the Green Hill Zone, you can tell that they are gangsters. They are not from around here.
Like, they're the most gangster-looking gangsters ever. Like, I mean, the only alternative explanation I would have bought for them being there was they were just getting off the set of a Martin Scorsese film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fuck?
Man. They're like, we're from Chemical Plant Zone. Sup?
No, the moment you said chemical plant, the theme just got into my head.
I know, it's an earworm. So those guys take hostage Jimmy and Jennifer.
J&J.
And they take them hostage. And what happens next? You'll find out after the break. And we're back. Sorry about that. Short break.
Entirely my fault. I was in dire need of having a bio break. And so I thought to myself it might have been funny, to let it just progress and then, have my face gradually knoss up more and more like a scrunching piece of A4 paper. But, well, I do want to talk about stuff as well, so I figured I'd take a moment. I gave Doc the secret signal, which was to, shoot up a flare gun. But anyway, I didn't really.
All good, man. No worries. That was short, but now we're gonna get right back on the horse. And so hostages, right? In the Green Hill Zone, and Ash forced to give up his gun, much to the surprise of his father. Man, horse don't give up their guns. So yeah, walks in. But luckily, his buddies have a plan, and Max, Shorter, and co. drive their immigrant smuggling truck into the Green Hill Zone and allow Ash to use his kung fu, right? And de-gun one of the criminals and knock him out briefly. But the other one still has a gun, and he proceeds to shoot Jenny twice, and then shoot Jim in the shoulder. Ash dispenses with him, but thug number one has gotten up and is approaching Ash stealthily with a knife when Shorter comes up from behind for the glory kill and just takes that guy out, slit of the throat.
Second mouth.
Yes. And boy. So question for you guys in chat and you also, Shadon. I think Jim is alive, but this death of Jennifer, like hit me, I think, and you a bit. It was impactful. It was a little bit of a oof. How, in your mind, is this different from Dr. Werner Franks' girlfriend, who shows up and dies the same episode, for the plot's sake, to give us the old heartstring yank, and whatnot?
All right. Okay. This whole thing was actually going to be one of my talking points, but I'll put my cards on the table right now. I have two readings of this. One, I could take it to mean, like, I think Jim actually says later that all the good ones die first.
Shot at Ash right there, by the way. Shots.
How many times has that happened right now? Ash did tell Jim that Griff was dead, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me thinks that maybe this will be a longer narrative game, which is to say that, even as all the good things die in your life, you have to, be resilient. You have to be, brave. You have to stick up for the fact that, there is still going to be good things out there. You can't give in. You can't define you. And then unfortunately I have the second reading, which is that I'm again slightly concerned about Banana Fish's willingness to just execute random characters, for pathos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie here, this was one of the two things that I've kind of felt a bit iffy on this episode about. Because we don't know shit all about Jennifer, other than she looks after them. Great, that's cool. Mm-hmm. And then she dies, and oh god, the good lady who didn't do anything wrong dies. Isn't that tragic? I don't know how to read it. I think I'm going to have to, again, let this show play out for me to see how that goes. Is Ash going to have a moment where he thinks, about all the people who have passed away, on this little crusade of his, and what it's cost, and then reflects on it,
mm-hmm.
And then make that about, his, about his moral sense, does this poison him? Does it change it for the better? Does it change it for the worse? To answer your question more specifically about the whole thing with Frank's girlfriend Karina about, first off, that completely did not affect the main characters in any way, shape, or form. It was an isolated event that meant Jack diddly fucking squat to everyone, including Franks himself. The characters who we've seen die so far, prior to Jenny, because this is just literally the episode in which it happened, so we can't, measure the impacts of that yet, have meant something. Like Ash, mourned for Skip's death, and then Griff's death he mourned as well. They have impacted and changed him, as opposed to Frank. So you might as well just hit a pothole on the fucking drive to work.
Marvin's death.
For all the fuck that matter. But I am still a bit concerned about the fact that, okay, I get it. People can and will die here. Game of Thrones, yada yada yada, Red Wedding, blah 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 blah. I get that. But death shouldn't be cheap. It needs to be earned. And it also shouldn't really happen to token characters, if at all possible, just to make a point. We'll see. I'm going to put that one in the air right now. I'm not going to hold it against the show as a whole just yet. Because I want to see how things progress and what it makes. I want to see if it gives this, the gravitas it deserves. I'm not saying, that everyone should live or that there should be, no death or violence in this at all. I think the violence
I'm anti-death. No death. Zero tolerance for death.
No. Well, I'm the man who also wrote a novel in which, I killed off my entire protagonist's family for no fucking good reason. So you'll excuse me if I feel a little hypocritical on that. Yeah, I see you raise that. I see you raise that fucking eye. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna keep that in the air right now. We'll find out.
Could be trying to burn all the bridges back to home. Jenny could be a possible one. His dad, who we think is gonna live, but they don't really have a great connection, in spite of the moment that they kind of have here at the end. Maybe that's it, but Kay says that it didn't feel like it was for shock value, even if it was just in the same episode in which she was introduced.
Because we've already had it established that characters are very morsel in. Everyone's morsel in fiction, of course they are. But the sense of mortality that the audience feels like, that's already there. And I should have really marked at the moment I saw her, it's like, oh god, she ain't making it out of this one alive, is she? But that's, of course, not what happened. So, I don't know. I'm gonna hold fire on this and see. It's more of a wider context thing. But I think that Mira, though, has said, honestly, never thought much about death because she's not an important character. Maybe that's the point. But in that case, if you're not meant to think or feel anything about the death, why is it there?
Yeah, you don't want to cheapen it, as you say. You don't want to cheapen the character death notion.
Or the concept of it.
Mm-hmm.
You get kind of numb to it.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Yeah, if Shorter dies later, if he dies 2 episodes from now, I'll be damn surprised. But oh, all right, fair enough.
Well, maybe you will, you hard-hearted fiend. No matter what, I will cry for Shorter. I will mourn him.
Well, you say hard-hearted, but you're making a critical error there, Doc.
That's right.
To begin with. There's a cavity in here,
Fair.
Where I keep, spare change, for going through toll booths and stuff like that.
Is that where you keep your valuable video game cartridges as well?
Well,
Chrono Trigger, mint condition.
Well, considering Emu Paradise has recently gone down, and yeah, definitely keep that close to hand.
Has Emu Paradise gone down?
Yeah, Nintendo had taken it down because Nintendo are idiots.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they want to sell fucking.
Games. We could be selling these games legally for people to play, and make money off of it. But we're not going to do that, and instead we're going to actually curtail an active library of ROMs, that help preserve video game history, because there's no other legal outlet for people to get these, because we're fucking idiots.
Even ones that weren't released in your territory, like Terranigma. Nope.
Tangent aside.
Don't play that anymore.
Great.
Slayers, Magic Knight Rayearth, SNES games. Nope. Gundam, Yu Yu Hakusho. We know there's a market for these games, but guess what? They weren't released in your territory. They're only Super Famicom, so screwed. That's sad. Alright, so to finish this up, you talked about all the good ones die first. I have that written down. So Jim will take sort of the quote-unquote the heat for this, I guess. He's said, look, give me your weapon. I will say that I shot the guy, put the knife in Jenny's hand. Then sorry, chat's making me laugh. Then he says, look, son, You're fighting against the mafia, huh? That's pretty cool. Kind of proud of you. Are they the ones that killed Griff? Yes? I get it. You have my blessing. Thanks, Dad.
Go fuck shit up, son.
That's right. Go fill him full of holes, you little man whore. I love you. And then, after the blessing, they escape. And then during the credits, we have quite the interesting scene, I think, between Dino and Mr. Lee. Now,
that guy again.
Who knows how much truth Dino is telling here, but he says, do you know what's going on? Mr. Lee's like, you mean with a banana fish? He's like, oh, you know about banana fish? Well, it's a poison.
Well, let me tell you about banana fish. Let me throw the book at you.
It's a poison I developed for assassinations. Whoa, didn't see that one coming, says Mr. Lee. He's lying, I'm pretty sure. He's like, look, your drug business is not threatened by banana fish. I just want to get it back. I just want Ash back. Help me out here. Mr. Lee, believing his business is not under threat, much more keen to do business, says, all right, what you got? Here's what I got. Part of the European heroin market. It's yours. Help me out.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like how he did specify that, so like he could literally give him Liechtenstein.
Yes. Yes.
Tiniest fucking non-country ever.
I know.
Like, here you go. Have
So
Liechtenstein
good.
do your heroin dealing. You know, you can put it in all the false teeth they make there. Enjoy.
The
Have fun with
Lichts. And Lee says, well, if you want this guy back, I'll put my best LA guy on it. How do you pronounce it? It's like Yu Lung, but there's a T at the end of, like, so it looks like Ute, but I think it's just Yu, like Yu Lung. I think it means like, what does it mean? Like Dragon Moon or something like that? Because
That's right.
He rules the dark.
Moon Dragon, yeah.
Which is fucking cool because he rules the dark. I like that. And so the final scenes in the episode are them thinking that they're lost. The good guys, the merry band of eBay, Shorter, Max, AG, Ash, get out and ask a homeless man.
They travel by map. I love it. I always love it when anything has like traveling by map in it. It's fucking great. Da, 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 da.
Yes. Where they're showing like the like transparency in the background of the map and the dotted line moving across it. That's what I wanted to happen. But they're like, wow, I thought LA was supposed to be here. Did we take a wrong turn? Hey,
It's literally just behind the trees.
hobo, where are we? You idiots, this is Los Angeles. Part through the ferns. Skyline, massive city, LA. They're here. Also Shorter, going with the full Bret Hart style jacket, both shoulders exposed, walking around like the Hitman in sunglasses. Fucking
this is
badass.
the first quarter of Banana Fish now done, and I really wish they had done just because they could have done it. On the closing moments of them looking over the LA skyline, I really wanted like a really retro wave song to start playing, like something like, I don't know, something from the new retro wave channel.
Yes.
Like if it just faded out on that as it like the sun like
some sweet
rose,
like synth, like some John Carpenter
Yeah.
music.
That would have been amazing for that, like the first quarter of the show to close out on.
That would be
Something from Lazy
sweet.
Rider or something like that.
Yes,
Like Easy
yes.
Rider.
That would be
man,
rad.
that'd be great.
But that's the episode.
That's the episode. My Lost City.
Woo! All right,
Woofed.
let's
Woofed.
get right into
トーキングポイント
the talking points.
Mm-hmm. You want to go first, or shall I, Doc?
Well, so I think I've used up most of my bullets while we were talking about the episode. We went to the.
You be going gangland. You be going gangland, mate.
Yep. We went.
That's how you do discourse. You don't do gangland style discourse here.
Well,
Same.
So we slipped back into our old stream of thought patterns where we went on some digressions. I think the things I can't use the English language. The things I was going to talk about were, eBay and his internal conflict, how he's feeling, if we truly know what's going on, the relationship between Ash and his dad, maybe the horrific awfulness of what Ash has gone through, and the veracity of the comment, "He's not broken, isn't that amazing?" And then sort of also the differences in how Ash and Eiji look at the same kind of expanse of land, and how I found that interesting. We talked about it earlier. One sees so much beauty, and the other has had to sort of like amputate and carterize that part of his heart, and feels nothing. Probably like their view to like relationships or something like that. So, but yeah, I think we hit most of mine. But so why don't you take it away?
I have a few.
Okay.
So to me, it's going to be more observations than talking points. But I just want to talk about Eiji briefly on a side bit. So I'll talk about him and Ash. So one of the things I really appreciate about the show, but maybe it's also doing it a bit too much, perhaps, is that it's not flat out getting the characters to tell us that Eiji is, out of his depth and shouldn't be here, but rather it is showing us it. So there are a couple of examples in this episode. Do you remember the rat?
Yep.
Right. Bit of levity, it's funny, rat, mouse, rodent creature, whatever, jumps out of, the drawer, and Eiji's just like, I don't know, fucking mouse, Jesus fuck, like that. Now that, funny on surface level, like, it functions as a bit of comedy, but also it's part of the wider underlying message that the episode tells us with a couple of moments such as this, that he's still so completely out of his depth and he's not ready to be dealing with any of this, not even the slightest. Like, the rat is just a rat, so fucking what? Kick it, fucking punch it in midair, I don't care. Like, but he's terrified of it. If he can't even handle that, how can he handle the fucking mobsters that he's dealing with? So it's that. Second point. Recall the fight scene. Chaucer fucking slits his throat, slits the mob's throat. And Eiji's response is...
Yes. Yeah. Shorter's like, don't look. You won't be able to handle this.
Yeah. Again, more hints here. Because you might the conversation that eBay and Max had, again, like I mentioned before, it was framed more in the context of you're not letting him be his own person, etc. So it was never about he's not ready or he's not capable of dealing with this particular context. It's more interpersonal stuff that is relevant here. And it could have been so very easy for the writer of the manga or the people who wrote this episode to simply put in Max saying, "We really should put him back on a plane. He can't handle this."
Yeah.
The only violence he's ever seen was in John Woo movies that he saw on fucking VHS. He doesn't know how any of this actually works, or what it means like to really hurt people. Now, we have already had hints of that previously, the fact he didn't kill the guy in the previous episode, so maybe the show is perhaps laying this on a bit too thick, even if it is like, underscored. Kay has also rightly pointed out, about when he yells Ash's name as well. Yeah, like, that's actually a good point. Like, Chaucer immediately recognized when he sees Ash, like, doing the Metal Gear Solid thing of hiding, like, outside and looking through the window. And Eiji's like,
Buddy! I brought some ice cream. It's your favorite.
Daring fucking
blast.
Chaos, honestly. Seriously. I mean, Jesus Christ. So, I appreciate the show doing that. Maybe it's laying on a bit too thick. If it dials it down from here on out, because it's made the point now, and now it has to do something with him not being ready. That's the thing. So it's made it now. It's established it, and again, I have faith in the material. Like, we're only a quarter of the way through here, and the thing about doing these stream of thoughts is like with Frank's, like, we had opinions at the time where we felt like it go in a certain direction, but I actually have faith in this show, to deliver on what it says it can do or what it, it promises, as opposed to Frank's, where the only thing where he couldn't even fucking deliver a pizza to my front door, never mind anything else. Like, Jesus Christ. I wouldn't trust Ishigori to fucking work for Domino's. Yeah, I went there.
Sometimes it couldn't even deliver an episode title. There's
Fucking
multiple
right.
episodes called Darling in the Franxx.
Fucking right. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's not retread old ground too much. So, the next point I want to discuss briefly is Ash's father, Jim, and his comments to Ash at the start, where he calls him a man
can
whore
I
piece. Sorry, go on.
based on to just address what you just said, how allowant, that's not a word, how much are you willing to allow kind of a growth period with Aishu, like where, you know, because he can't obviously go from like completely naive to, you know, hardened sharpshooter. Like there has to be an organic
there will
process, you know what I mean? Like, so
yeah,
he'll still kind of be a little naive or a lot naive.
no, it's like I said in the very first episode. You know, I'm not expecting him to go all the way to being a hardened hitman. You know, to turning into, you know, Phantom. You know, there's another reference to that fucking tortured fucking pretzel the show. But what I am saying is that the time for that organic growth to begin is now. We've had enough establishing points made in the show's run thus far to say that he isn't ready and he's out of his depth. Yeah, there were moments in which he did prove himself, such as the pole vote. There's that. But what I'm saying is now's the time for him to start growing, but also for him to start questioning it. I'm not saying that he has to, you know, say, I'm getting out of this, I'm bailing out. But just a moment here or there, like, you know, where he goes, what am I doing?
Right.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to start seeing. So
realizing the shit that he's in.
Yeah. Taking a step back rather than being caught in what essentially him might as well feel like a theme park ride. I mean, that's why, after all, we see the scene at the very end of him throw, because it's probably one of the realizing moments that he's had so far. It's like, I mean, how much more of a reaction can you get than one that's physiological in nature, where it makes you do something, or it makes you a wretch? So, okay, let's talk about Jim. Now, I'm going to be very, very honest here. I'm going to say that this is probably me being very ignorant, of me not paying much attention to what was going on, or not understanding it. But was it just me, or did it not feel very bizarre that the backstory we got doesn't really tally up with how he treats Ash in the present? Like, okay, my son was abused by the baseball player, and I took him to the cops, and yes, I gave him some terrible fucking advice, and he ran away, and I've never seen him since, really, apart from once or twice. But now I'm claiming he's a man whore, and that, you know, like, I'm going to blame him for the advice that I gave him. Like, is it a defense mechanism? Does he want to push him away because he knows he's been a terrible father? I found this really confusing because I couldn't find the link. And maybe it's not even a logical one. Maybe there is no logic behind it. Maybe he's just like, you know, I fucks up so bad that I'm going to push him away by being awful to him. I mean, clearly they have met since, you know, Ash ran away. That must have happened at some point.
Really? He's very surprised to see him, do you think?
I think that, you know, he because the thing is, like, Ash as he looks now, like, is nothing like he looks when he was a kid. So they must have at least caught up at some point, so we had some idea.
But he's still so beautiful. It has to be
so him. So I don't know. I was a bit perplexed by that reaction that Jim had. Like, I thought that it would come more to the fact that maybe Ash's first, like, experience, you know, was something like two boys, like, you know, when they're really young, not knowing anything about it, and because, you know, he's, you know, Boston County country, and or even like, and in the 80s, you know, from the source material, he's like, Jesus fucking Christ, what the hell are you doing? The fuck, you fucking dirty animal, something like that.
Yeah.
But that's not what it was. Like, if anything, he was very supportive of him as a kid, like saying, I'll say, please, I believe you, as opposed to, you know, backhanding him for the, you know, talking against the guy. I mean, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't quite get it. I don't think the link was properly established.
Perhaps it's like more kind of fleshed out in the manga. Like there's more stuff. But like here's kind of how I it wasn't all that unexpected to me. And I was able to link it. I think, you know, I think that there is hatred and self-hatred that are wound up together in how he feels about Ash, because when the cops didn't believe him, and, you know, the dad realized, or I mean, it's not even a realization that like reflects reality, but he deduces that, okay, this is going to just happen. Now you have to become a man whore. You know, you have to like get paid for this so you can derive some benefit from it. I think all the like, I mean, I think he blames Ash for being who he is, for being born beautiful, because in the society in which they were, the way that the system and structure was, there's no recourse. If that's going to happen to a kid, it's just going to happen. And the reason it's going to happen is that the kid's born looking a certain way. So in a very sort of twisted way, he probably feels like, why did you do this to me? Like, why couldn't you just look like me? Or why couldn't you look different? Like, why do you have to be the one to bring this shit into my life and make me feel this way? Fuck you. Mm-hmm. But also, he probably, you know, as it's shown at the end, like, he's his kid. Deep down underneath all that, he loves him. There's still a part of him that cares about him, and he, you know, there's got to be a lot of self-hatred there. I mean, he ran away from home and left him, but like, I mean, he has to know that what he did to him and what he advised him to do was terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
so
for me, I think I understand where you're coming from with all that, and I think that that's reasonable inferences, but maybe it's just me. Maybe I felt like that probably should have been developed more. In the show, at least. I mean, I can't speak for what isn't like in the manga. I don't think there's something that impactful that's like one of the foundational elements of Ash's life, like, you know, should have been. In some parts, it almost felt like it was glossy over. Like, they have their heart-to-heart, you know, after he's been shot, and then he's just like, go. And that's it. I don't know, like...
So Korielski Green puts it this way. It says that there's an implication that he feels guilt for everything with regard to his son, but he doesn't really have the emotional wherewithal to process it, and so he just externalizes it as hatred for the thing that brought all this guilt and shit into his life, the son himself.
The problem is that we don't really see him even vocalize it or thinking. Like, when he gives his backstory, like, you know, of what happened to Ash, like, and then the consequences of Ash running away, we don't then get to hear from him what that meant for him, what that cost him. You know, was he suddenly, you know, say, to spitball an idea, put out of his job because he accused the baseball coach? I mean, I made the Kamoshida comparison before. And the thing is, at least in Persona 5, in Kamoshida's case, people had suffered consequences for, you know, going against him and trying to tell on, you know, him for his behavior. That was clear. But what ultimately the consequences were for Jim in the end, for the way that he acted, are not made clear to the audience. I mean, I'm not saying that he necessarily even has to say that to Ash or any other characters, but it's something that I feel we should have been let into, like, to fully understand this. I mean, okay, maybe he will come back later and we'll get more of this. I am, again, putting this up in the air and not necessarily holding against the show as a whole. But I do feel in some parts a lot of this was quite glossed over. Too much for my taste. I think that drama like this deserves a deeper look into it. And I'm not even necessarily saying that, like, you know, what Jim says would have to be necessarily true.
Right.
Like, this is a thing that I've said before about in Frank's, for example. Like, I don't necessarily need to hear what the truth is, that the characters admit objectively what is wrong with them. But if they can at least offer an explanation. And we don't really get that. He just says, you're a fucking man whore. Like, did you pay all these guys with you? Are they your troupies here, whatever, you know? A pimp ring going, whatever? And then next thing you know, oh yeah, by the way, my son was abused. I totally had his back. Nothing came of it. And I gave
Can you
him some
believe
bad
the
advice.
cops, by the way, we didn't mention this, accused a 7-year-old of seducing the baseball coach? If it did happen, then I bet your son seduced him. Who are these people?
Having grown up in a country that's seen scandals like Jimmy Savile,
I don't know what that
Do you
is.
know? All right. Little bit of history here for the United Kingdom. Jimmy Savile was an entertainer on BBC, doing shows throughout the 70s, I believe, in the 80s. My timeline here is very rough on this, I must say, so I apologize if I'm embellishing it for people who know better than I. But here's the thing. Turns out that Jimmy, who was like, again, very prominent face of the BBC, he did, fundraisers for children, all that. He was abusing kids, kids that he met as part of the show. That did not get ousted until after he died earlier this century, I think in the late noughts. And he died in 2002 or something like that. I can't remember the specific date. But the abuses that he inflicts on others went back, to the 80s and 70s. There was not a culture back then, according to the inquiry that followed, in which they investigated his actions, in which the people who brought this abuse up were believed. The kids who were abused brought it up, and they didn't believe them for much the same reason as they didn't believe the baseball guy, because popular individual faced the BBC. Why would we believe them? We take any stock in this, it's going to damage our corporation's image. Funny how that swings around in the end, though. Wouldn't you fucking believe when the dirty laundry finally does come out, dickheads? Ugh. So the reason I bring that,
man.
The reason I bring up that is because, again, banana fish, apart from the magical fancy wonder drug they grew up with, I could buy all this happening. Maybe not necessarily to the same person in such concentrated amounts. I think the fact that all of Ash's bad experiences that we've had so far have been contextualized about him being raped are solid. I'm possibly getting a bit too much, to be honest. I get it. But to go from having that baseball player guy, to then running away and then being Dino, who does the exact same things to him. Yeah, I get that there's a link behind that and there's a foundation stone there, but does it all have to be that? I don't know. I'm just pitching thoughts here at the moment because I trust this material to handle it, reasonably as time goes on. We are only a quarter of the way in after. But at the same time, I can see a couple of warning signs that make me slightly concerned.
Well, some people, not to get too dark or excuse shows that don't handle this correctly, but there are human lives that are this kind of constant refrain of the similar type of suffering, like people caught in human trafficking. Their life is
for sure, yeah.
One of a sex slave and a toy bought and sold and passed around, and that's it. It just is everything. That's what it's tied to, and that's it. So, but I don't want to dwell on that too much. But I guess I don't know if the original story fleshes it out or not in the manga, but if this is the thing where adaptation comes into play, they do, they have to gloss over things and have to cut stuff, and I guess they make these choices okay, well, if we gloss over this thing or kind of leave these kind of breadcrumbs that or explain something quickly this way, the audience will quickly be able to do some put two and two together and say okay, I have a clear idea of what happened. We don't really need to dwell on it. Maybe they thought that was the case here. I know for me, I didn't have any kind of trouble my mind going from A to B, but I understand where you're coming from, and I've been there before where I'm why don't we explain why this person's feeling this way? And everyone else is well, it's obvious. I'm not to me. so I get it. I do.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about that. The one final brief talking point I'll bring up is, again, just an observation on it, building on existing relationships, which is specifically with Eiji and Ash, and the scene in which, he tries to teach Ash how to shoot, Eiji how to shoot a gun. Now, you might recall previously that I said that, the relationship that they would develop over time would initially be coached in the language that Ash knows, which is a language of violence. That's what we have right here. That's how he connects with him. He can't talk to him in theory, the breadcrumb, the starting topic that he could have would be right there, which is the pole vaulting.
Right.
There's a lot of discussion about Eiji's pole vaulting, but Ash is not one of the people who's privy to that, as it turns out. Maybe that'll be relevant later when they do talk about it. But if Ash was genuinely interested in that, he would, go, hey, so tell me more about the pole vaulting. Which they're not. But that's fine. But when they do have,
tell me
that kind
more
of
about Tell me more about your pole. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that. I have an actual music cue for this situation.
So
Tell me all about your pole. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm being very juvenile.
my pole is 10 feet long and made of a durable aluminium alloy. It's got extremely high tensile strength. There we go. Anyway, so the point for me is like, just as an observation of that, is that again we're seeing the relationship develop. It's developing in terms that are not wholly natural, shall we say, like not ideal. Like, we already know AG's not ready for any of this, but Ash is completely ignoring that fact, saying, "All right, here you go, I'll show you how to shoot a gun." Even though I would argue that's not something anyone should be doing. Like teaching someone how to shoot a gun. Like in an ideal world, you never have to know that.
Well, I have taught my wife how to shoot a gun. I really did. Not a handgun, not anything of that sort of dangerous nature, but I can't remember if it's my stepfather or my brother owned a .22 rifle for their hunting stuff, and I never liked hunting. I never killed anything.
Have you seen this in chat, by the way? Mirror says like there's a cut line for the gun scene which goes, when Ash was saying that his shoulder wound was just a scratch, or as the English dub would have it, it is just a flesh wound. Sorry. AG's like, just a scratch? Now I know why Japan lost the war.
Oh my god! Holy shit!
Smooth.
Holy shit!
Man,
wow.
He probably think the Enola Gay was a flavor of fucking ice cream. Jesus Christ.
He knows his history. Like I said, I don't like hunting. I've never killed anything, but it was fun to shoot a gun at like old CDs and shit. Or
so
milk
that's
jugs.
That's why you hate new metal so much. You actually blew away your Papa Roach CDs. I'm onto you.
I never owned a Papa Roach CD, okay?
You say you didn't buy one as target practice?
Nope. Now, the Jay-Z meets Linkin Park, best of whatever, like that album, I did shoot full of holes, yes. But no, that was fun. So people could teach other people how to shoot guns. And this is coming from like, I'm a big gun control advocate, but no, I'm basically just giving you shit. I'm sure our relationship would have been quite fine if I never taught her how to shoot a gun. It was not like and then we knew we were meant to be together. Sorry, I totally interrupted you. Please continue.
No, that's really all I needed to say actually there about that. Just to point out that again, developing relationship.
The chicken scene? What is the chicken scene? I guess we'll find out. They showed it in the episode preview for next week, or maybe for I don't know. Someone explain us the chicken scene while we talk.
Well, actually, if it's going to be in the next episode, please don't spoil
Oh yeah,
it.
okay. So no, but yeah, I don't know if it's been skipped over or if it's coming next. So yeah, we'll figure it out.
There was no chicken scene in this one, unfortunately. I'd remember that.
Once we like fully determine that it's been passed over, please explain it. I'd love to know.
I swear to God, if like, wait a minute, chicken, Arthur, finger licking good. Oh no, that's awful. I was trying to find the word association like linked with that. Like, what the fuck has chicken got to do with anything in banana fish? Like, is that the turf in the surf and turf? Fox if I know. I see. So it wasn't the manga, but it
No, it happens on the way to LA.
Oh, did we miss that?
We did.
Oh shit.
We didn't get to see it.
We're bad podcasters, sorry.
We didn't get to see that. No, I mean it was we did it wasn't animated. So it was
right.
cut from the final run. Ashton Shorter hunt for chickens since they're starving.
Oh, I see. So it was animated but cut content. Right, I see.
They steal chickens to eat. I just imagine like the Benny Hill theme playing while they scramble after a running chicken.
That's genius. That's genius.
Sweet Lord.
Why did they weren't being chased by anyone at that point? Couldn't they have just literally gone to a fucking Wawas or something?
I know.
Why are they living off the land?
Why?
What the fuck point?
Maybe they're broke.
I'd pass. I don't know.
Surely Ash can shoot a chicken at a distance as well. They don't have to like run after it.
Fucking hell. I mean, wait, Max was if it's based on the original material, he's a Vietnam War veteran.
I know.
So he would be able to, he'd be saying all kinds of fucking traps.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's anything that non-factual movies have taught me is that Vietnam War veterans are the hardest motherfuckers ever. They will hunt and survive and just, kill the fuck out of everyone. So, oh dear. Oh well. All
right. Well, any more talking points or?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess it's time to rate the episode.
Let's go. Shall I go first, or do you want to go first? Sorry.
You go first.
All right. Did have some problems with this episode, but the material is still pretty solid. And I'm of the opinion, I think the problems of it are either adaptational or, maybe they'll have more meaning later on. I mean, this is like, again, I'm not going to, go all in on the show a quarter of the way in. I'm not that daft. Didn't do it with Franks, and I hated that piece of shit in the end, so you'll forgive me if I actually don't do it with something I genuinely like. But all that said, in the end, I'm going to give this episode 3.5 whiskey bottles used for target practice out of 5.
Okay.
Still really good, just with some flaws, and hopefully those flaws remain self-contained within this episode, or actually turned into strengths, because they are then reflected upon and revisited. I mean, one thing I've just realized is that, this road trip thing where they're going to LA, they are inevitably going to come back to New York. So maybe in, let's say, episode 20, Ash sees his father again. Could happen. They're going back in the same direction. It would make sense for them to stop by. Like,
well, if it isn't the man whore. Back in Cape Cod again. What you need this time, boy?
So that could happen. Who knows? I mean, maybe that's the thing in the man. I don't know. But we'll see how things go. I'm just... But still, material was really solid as always.
Mm-hmm.
Are you about to yawn out the score? Was it like gonna be a trick?
4 stars. 4 stars. Very good episode. Not the best, only because there's been better material, but it was quite good. I think we learned a whole bunch and got to see the characters in some different situations than we're used to. Apparently we missed seeing them in situations even farther removed from the usual, which is sad. But I'll just put in my head the chicken story and pretend that I've seen it as part of the anime. But yeah, I mean, no, it's a really good episode. I think the things that was missing, things that it were god fucking these linking verbs, this to be, this past version of to be, fucking me up. It didn't have kind of the like pervasive tension that I found so gripping about the rest of the episodes, but I was ready for that, and it was I think on but I'm just rating it as an individual episode. I think these episodes are necessary. The kind of lower tonal ebbs are necessary in terms of like the entire show, keeping you engaged. Most shows can't keep the pedal to the floor the whole way through and be like palatable. Some, very few can, but so yeah, 4 stars. Excellent stuff. Very good.
Damn right.
I am excited to meet Yulun and see what's up with with Mr. Lee's ringer over in LA.
Good stuff. Well then, that wraps up the episode. So let's just quickly sign off.
Mirror's waifu is appearing next episode. Now I'm excited.
Ooh.
Now I'm very excited.
We'll rate them. Don't worry. We'll rate your wife.
3 point, and he also gives the episode. They give the episode 3.5 chicken feathers, which is.
Fair.
I forgot. I said stars again, so I'll say 4 giant rats hiding in your drawer out of 5.
ROUSs.
Yes.
ROUSs, rodents of unusual size. Classic. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen and MBs, thank you all so much again for tuning in with us here. Stream of Thought, Warui Deshou, covering Banana Fish. We're now a quarter of the way through. So far, this has been pretty spectacular, both in terms of the show itself and just doing this new format. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Old and new audience members, it's always a delight to have you here, so thank you so much. With that said, if I may just pass the digital mic over to Doc. Doc, could you please tell everyone where they might find you on the dark, twisted corner of the internet that you occupy?
Well, I'm on Twitter at The Subtle Doctor. You can hit me up there to talk about whatever nerd things that you like. Also, if you want to vote in our Twitter polls, which will be open for the next 7 days that we've just opened, and there's even a couple for Monday that are still open, the episode 5 ones. The episode 6 ones are at Warui Deshou on Twitter, WARUI DESHOU. And speaking of Twitter,
ツイッターポール
let me just read the final polls that we got for episode 6 for the people listening in podcast land that don't have access to the chat links. Here are the ones that you can vote on. Is Banana Fish surf and turf? Yes or no? Yes is the early leader. God damn it, 67%. 2/3 you were wrong. Science is failing me. AG says Ash is not broken. Do you believe this is true? No has 100% of the vote at this early stage. And do you believe eBay is being selfish or truly has AG's best interest at heart? Again, very early days for this poll. This is a 2/3, 1/3 situation. 2/3 believe he's being selfish, and 33% believe that he does have AG's best interest at heart. But yeah, everybody, vote on Twitter, follow us to see what we're up to, whether streaming visual novels, which I've started to do, or podding, those kind of announcements. We've got a SoundCloud, of course, if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on SoundCloud, we have a YouTube channel. And if you'd like to email us, we're waruideshow@gmail.com. And sure. iTunes, all the other podcast catchers, you can subscribe to us there as well. Please leave a nice review if you're a fan. It helps us. It helps increase our discoverability. And for the YouTubes,
for sure,
you guys know what to do. Clicking the thumbs up and the subscribe and the bell and all that jazz. Thank you, though, for even if you don't do that stuff and you consume our content, we're very grateful that you do, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Shadon1010. You can also find me on Curious Cat at curiouscat.me /Shadon1010. Just, I don't know, send me links to things. I don't know, like put it in a mystery URL. As long as it's not, like a cryptocurrency miner or some sort of porn bot, then I'll give it. And I like sticking my plugs on it. Fuck it, who cares? Anyway. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you all have a very lovely Friday, wherever you may be, whatever time it may be in the world for you. But, as always, as we like to say here on Warui Deshou, until next time, everyone, brace yourself for everyone, until the end of the universe.
Goodbye. Mwah, and good night.